Welcome back, guys, to week 2 or episode 2 of the Club 33 podcast. We got some upgraded tech gear here. You can see Sky has an upgraded mic.
Oh yeah,
and I got a ring light, so we're getting more professional.
Oh yeah, step by step. We'll get there.
So you guys introduce yourselves.
Yeah, what's up, Sky High fan? Stream on Twitch. Let's get talking about some DSA. Joos.
Yeah, my juice box here. Same as Sky. Twitch.tv/myjuicebox, and come hang out.
Awesome. So we're gonna try and keep this to 45 minutes.
Do our very best.
Which is probably not gonna happen. So we prepared this time. We got our segments written down, and we actually looked at them this week. Hopefully. By ourselves. But first part is gonna be Juice's segment. So
guys, if you don't know, the Summoners Council stuff sent out a survey a couple days ago about it sent it out to Summoner Council members. So we did the survey, and I actually thought it was going to be about next new characters that would be in the game after that. They were trying to collect information about which new franchises do you want to see in the game, but it turned out to be a lot of like personal feedback about the game, which I was surprised about. We did it on stream together, but I'm going to read 4 sentences to you guys. We'll do them one at a time. So I'll read a sentence and then basically give me the feedback that you have based on the response that I give you. So we'll take it one at a time, then we'll move on to the one after that. So one of the part of the surveys talked about suggestions that you would give to Glue to improve the game. So we talked about a lot of them, but I consolidated 4 of them that I thought were the best, and I just want to get your thoughts on them. So you guys ready?
For sure.
Ready?
Okay. Number 1. Glue should improve drop rates of character tokens and gear, which can benefit free-to-play players.
So what I'm going to say is Glue's goal is to have gear be as hard to farm without people being upset about it, right? So I think they're only gonna make things easy to farm at a pace that's just fast enough so that people aren't like actively upset. So this would be good, but I just don't see Glue doing this very quickly. I don't know about you. What you think, Dragon?
I think Glue could increase the drop rates for gear 7 and 8, especially maybe some droplets, because I swear I did like 3 refreshes for gear 8. All I needed was five pieces for Elsa. I did probably 5 refreshes and got 3 or 4, something like that. I know you guys warned me that it was bad. I didn't realize how bad it was until I actually had to do it myself. So I think for higher end gear you're fine, but like for brooms and stuff, obviously not. Like you can farm those other places, but I think just specific gear, they definitely do that. Character tokens wise, I mean, I think for Grand Campaign, if you're farming it correctly, it's okay. I mean, it's not that bad. I can farm, like I do the 3 refreshes of 100 for Grand Campaign, so I'm able to do like how many in a day or a week. I probably can get a character in like 2.5 to 3 weeks to 7 stars. If you go from ground 0 to 330, roughly, you can do that if you're farming correctly. But I guess like for hard nodes, sometimes it can be annoying because some days you'll get like 6 out of 8. If you have VIP, you get extra attempt. Or some days you get 1 out of 8, for instance. So it's just really, it's just really toss about how RNG is going to treat you that day. But I would, for free to play players, I hope that it could improve for them, especially the higher end gear. But I think for the tier 4 gear, tier 5 gear, you're not too bad.
Yeah, I'll make this point really quick. We'll move on to our next point. I agree with Dragon. The gear drops for tier 7 to 8 is ridiculous right now. It feels like 25 to 30%. It feels insanely low. I'm at the point right now with gem energy refreshes. I'm getting about 1 piece like every week or 2, like every week to 2 weeks. It's taking that long just to get 1 piece of gear. That's how low the drop rates are for those concretes and those statues and things like that. It's absolutely ridiculous. I do think the character drop rates are pretty fine at the moment. We know Grand Campaign's always been pretty low. The elite battles and villains and heroes feels okay, but as far as this grind is 7 and 8, it feels extremely low. It feels like you almost need to buy those gear bundles to actually progress. but it's been a hell of a grind right now for those pieces.
Yeah.
So
And that's the thing for those pieces. Most of the time, it's more effective to buy them at the premium exchange to farm than farm for them, which is just insane. Like that's unheard of in games like this.
yeah.
Mhm.
All right, number 2. Club Conquest format needs more work. 3 teams fighting each other usually results in 2 teams working together to fight a single team.
Yeah, I think as a lot of people said when this game first came out, Club Conquest was 3, so it would be different than other games modes in I know Star Wars Galaxy Hero and possibly Marvel Strike Force, so they're trying to be different by having 3. But I mean, I think it comes back just growing up, you play like 3-player Super Smash Bros with your friends, right? And the person that kind of just like hides out on the side always wins, right? It's the same thing here. It's just poor game design. So yeah, they definitely need to fix it.
I've only encountered this maybe once or twice. And our club's been in the top 100 for probably about 2 or 3 months now. So, I mean, I do notice the longer you are in the top 100, the more dirty the tactics become in Club Conquest. There's a lot of, Discord club, like, communication between clubs, and that's definitely where that 3-team trifecta does not work. I think even if you were to increase it to 4 or 5 teams, possibly, I don't know how that would completely work. I mean, that would be pretty crazy, but they need to fix Club Conquest for sure. I think they could also increase the gear too. I mean, like I remember when I thought Club Conquest first came out, I was like, I get like this piece for gear 8 or something like that, and then raids come out and you're like, I get like nothing in Club Conquest. Like, what's the point?
Yeah.
I mean, I get some club coins, which is kind of nice. It helps me gear up some like gear 5, 6 characters, but I mean that's about it. But definitely, Club Conquest needs definitely a rework. I definitely agree with that, but I just don't know the exact fix for it.
I mean, I think a simple fix is making it 2 teams, just 2 clubs. Even 4 clubs, like you said, is more balanced than 3. 3 is like the worst number they can pick.
It's true.
Yeah, let's just move on to number 3. I have some opinions about Club Conquest, but it's kind of repeating what you guys said. So,
yeah.
Number 3. Gold is an issue to obtain. It is difficult to level characters, craft gear, upgrade abilities, and remove/swap gems when there is a shortage and not much is gained through the majority of game modes.
Again, for me, this is like a thing like Glue obviously makes these grinds. Like they know people don't have gold. They know people don't have runes. They want people to spend money on them. So like I agree that like I want more gold. And I'm constantly running out of gold and not upgrading things I want because, again, I don't have the gold. But at the end of the day, like they want there to be resources you're short on because that makes people purchase. So again, I'd love to see them add more ways to get gold, but I don't see the gold grind itself going away anytime soon.
I agree with that because, like, obviously Glue makes money every time someone does the 1100 gem refresh, so of course they want to keep that revenue stream coming in. But I mean, I've been playing Swaga, so like I know the gold there is a little different. For instance, if it wasn't for mods, I'd have a big stockpile of gold, I'll be honest. But besides that, in DSA, I mean, the gold grind is crazy. I never feel like I can get to where I want to go because I always have to worry about that gold. And like Sky was saying, there's really nowhere you can get gold besides doing your dailies in refresh and stuff like that and trying to get some gold there. I mean, the Summer's Challenge, I think if they double the amount there or increase the levels you can go in Summer's Challenge, that could help too. But besides that, yeah, the gold grind in this game is a big stopper. For whales, it doesn't really matter. They'll spend it no matter what. But for like free to play and stuff, it's definitely hard. I mean, I see people really hoard their gold, and it's like pulling teeth trying to spend it, to get the right stuff they need, and it's like devastating to spend it. But it's a moneymaker for Glue.
Yeah, I would just say that the villain and heroes campaigns, you're not getting too much gold from those. Obviously, the summoner challenges are okay. We have Scrooge's money bin that comes around frequently, and I know you do get money gold as well when you win PvP matches. So some people like leave macros on all day, and they can kind of farm gold too that way. But it hurts for kind of end game players when it costs so much money to level characters, like from 60 to 70.
I believe it's 2 million gold. 2 million gold from 60 to 70. Absurd.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. And then obviously, if you want to experiment with characters or swap gems, like if you want to swap gems for raids, it's those 100Ks add up quite frequently. So, yeah, I agree with you guys. Obviously, they want people to spend those gems on the gold, and it's definitely a heavy grind. Last point suggestion. Number 4, exchange needs a rework. Aside from frozen characters being added, specifically Anna in Sorcerer's Tournament and Kristoff in Club Dungeon, there hasn't been a single change to either one of those exchanges since the game's release.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is super valid because what you're seeing in this game, which I'm sure everyone's noticed, is new characters have better stats than old characters. So these characters that you can get in these exchanges are often pretty dang bad. So it to make these currencies have the value that they once had, I think they do need to switch it up because, like, I don't recommend anyone farm any character in Sorcerer's Tournament Exchange right now anywhere but from Sorcerer's Tournament Exchange, because the fact that that character is in there and only bad characters are in there, it makes farming anywhere else inefficient. So yeah, I think let me say this very briefly. When you first started the game, like Shan Yu, Hades, and Mordu were like known as 3 of the best characters, and they were all in the Sorcerer Tournament Exchange, and you were really just trying to climb as high as possible to get as many tokens as possible because they were so good. And I don't feel that grind anymore with new players or myself because the characters just aren't as important there.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's like the Sorcerer's Tournament. Like, right now, I'm only farming Merlin because he has benefits for raids. But besides that, once you've already farmed pretty much everyone in there, meaning, like, your Shan Yu, your Big Bad Wolf, your Anna, and stuff like that, there's no point. I mean, the rest of the characters in there are garbage, like Sky said. So they do have, for instance, the Big Hero 6 team now in the raid exchange, and the Incredibles are there too, but if you're farming someone in there, it is so inefficient because those raid tickets or raid coins can be spent on gear, and that's the most important thing there. And I mean, like 21,000 or something like that for Horn King is just ridiculous. And just like,
isn't it 3 tokens of him, right?
Yeah, just only 3 tokens. It's like you can buy like 15 of like specific gears for the exact factions. I forgot what they're called exactly, but they're specific for them. You get 15 of those for 18,000, which isn't too bad. But club exchange, I don't know about like farming characters in there in general. Even if they changed it, I don't know if I still would even farm characters from there, because all you want gear from there as well. So really, they should just improve on the tournament exchange and kind of do a rotation. I don't know who they could possibly bring in, the Big Hero 6 team in there and stuff like that, or just other more useful characters, like maybe like a Sheriff Nottingham could be brought into there, for instance. Bubbles could be a good one to put in there too, or even Gantu, those type of things. It would be those type of characters, but will they do it? They've already said that, they're really adamant about keeping that the same pretty much for long periods of time. And I mean, it's been 6 months. I think these are the same characters when they started the game, which is like almost 7 months ago.
Yeah.
And nothing's changed. But people got excited with the raid exchange. But if you're farming characters again, if you're raid exchange, you're wasting your raid tokens 100%. But yeah, that's my thoughts on it.
I'll make these 2 points really quick, and we'll move on. I just got Merlin the 7-star today. I finally farmed him up. I was at like 1.4 million Sorcerer Tournament tokens because I kept hoarding them because, like Sky said, none of the characters in there were worth farming for. I already had Jangle 7-star, I had Tinkerbell 7-star, Ariel star. I had a lot of them characters that you want at 7-star already, and I'm like, I'm not going to go for Kronk. I'm not going to go for Madam Mim. Mordu's not played anymore. Shan Yu's kind of fallen off. I was just going to hoard because I figured, okay, Glue would finally switch them up, and they just never did. I'm like, you know what? I guess I'll start expanding my roster, get Merlin ready, and then maybe go for another character that could be used for Club Conquest or something, because if they're never going to swap them up, might as well start spending the currency. Otherwise, they're going to sit there. And I think Dragon makes a good point. Like he says, add Sheriff of Nottingham in there. What if we looked at the whole roster on the stream one time? We said, what characters could they add to Sorcerer's Tournament exchange? And there's a lot that could be good potential characters. Like we talked about Scrooge. Like Scrooge is a good character. Why couldn't they put him in? They could definitely switch it up, and by them switching up doesn't mean they have to put really good characters in there. They can just put more diversity in there so you can expand your roster in a more free to play way. Even if it is a character like Queen of Hearts or Pocahontas or something like that, like you may not be using them, but at least you can get them geared up and start up rather than having to get them the hard way. So it's kind of tricky, but I agree with you guys.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great point.
For sure. So, Juice, that's a juicy segment from the Summoners Council survey, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. We have to tell you because we're members of the Summoner Council.
I have not been bestowed the shiny frame and gotten my my gear from there yet, but I think it's time for Sky's efficiency tip of the week. So Sky, what is your mathematics for this week? What is your...
All right, we're going to talk about the event that just came back, which is the Onward event. Last time this came around, near when Big Hero 6 came out, they removed the gear requirements, which was a huge deal. Because normally what we see in these events is you can get a lot of gear from them, but you have to spend a lot of gear also. I think the Moana event, there's 2 phases to it. There's a lot of value there, but you have to gear up a lot of Oceanic. So if you haven't already done that, it's not maybe the best to invest just for the gear because you're not really netting any gear. But since they removed all the gear requirements from Onward, and it only requires 2 characters, farming those characters and not even gearing them up is super valuable. So I was able to take both Ian and Barley to 7-star since the last event because I decided that I wanted to get the value. And if we're looking at the event, the first 2 phases, the first refresh that cost 150 has very high value. And the third phase, if you're at the last stage of it, the last 2 refreshes the first 2 refreshes on that one have very high value. And again, that's kind of hard for me to imagine, but I'll say this, which is a lot easier. Throughout the event, I'm going to be spending 700 and 500 gems. And between the refreshes I'm getting naturally and the ones I'm spending on, I'm going to be getting 8 million gold, 540 T6 materials, and 1,000 health droplets for 7,500 gold. And yes, some of that I'm getting for free, but I'm also getting character exchange tokens. I'm also getting T4 gear. So yeah, you can see the value in just 7-starring those 2 characters allowed me to just get an insane amount of resources here. So my tip is if you have those Onward characters up, do those first refreshes on Ian and Barley's phases, and then do the first 2 refreshes on the Manticore phase, because you're going to get an insane amount of value for your gems by doing this, basically better than any other value in the game.
I never thought of doing that. That's a great idea. Well, obviously, like if I got Ian and Barley to 7-star, I'd be like, oh, okay, I'm done with the event. I'm just going to do my 2 attempts, maybe do the 1 claim and attempt, and then be done with the day. But like I never thought of spending gems to do refreshes on those. Because yeah, isn't it like 50,000 gold per attempt, Sky? I don't know what the gold
phase 3, the last phase of Trash Clash, you get 100,000 gold per attempt. It's insane. Like, I'm gonna get 8 million gold just from this event over 10 days, only spending 7,500 gems.
Insane. Like
that's like if I was to buy gold from the shop, that's a similar level. If you buy 1 T6 health cloth, it costs 2,800 gold, and I'm gonna be able to craft about close to 11 with my T6 materials and over 13 with my T5 materials. Like, it's just insane value in every respect of it. And you're getting, again, you're getting those token exchange currency, you're getting those T4 gear, you're getting, potions, whatever, brooms. But like, I'm not even counting those because those aren't why you don't even have to account for those for it to be insane value.
Sky was telling me this
finished with the event, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. This guy was telling me this before, and then when he told me like the amount of value you can get, like getting like just think about getting 11 of those clots, like health clots. I mean that takes forever to do. Honestly, it feels like forever. But if you do 11 of those, you're gearing up literally roughly 3 or 4 characters just with those 3 clots. So
Yeah,
I mean 11 clots. Sorry, that's pretty.
Yeah, and that's not counting just all that free health gear you get every week, right?
Mm-hmm. And yeah,
like,
and you're
I'm not gonna have to worry about health gear for quite some time after this. I'm not gonna. I'll just be set in that respect.
This is why Sky has a huge hoard of stuff, because he's very efficient with what he does.
I'm a hoarder. You gotta hoard. You gotta hoard for months. This was like a 4-month plan for me.
But it's gonna pay off in the long run. So
it is.
I mean,
it is.
It's worth it.
But yeah, that's my efficiency tip of the podcast.
That's Sky's efficiency tip of the week. So it brings us to our first topic overall for everyone. Is going to be Beauty and the Beast. And is it going to be, do you guys think it's going to be a meta-changing team, or going to be useful raids? What are you guys thinking, just in the broad scope of these characters?
Yeah, so I'll start it off. I think Beauty and the Beast overall is really good, but what everyone's probably obviously seen is there's 3 very good characters, and there's 3 characters kind of lacking. So the 3 obvious good characters are Belle, Beast, and Maurice. And then Lumiere, Cogsworth, and Mrs. Potts are all lacking a bit. So I do think they're going to impact the meta quite a bit once people get their abilities up. But I don't think it's going to be as much of a complete meta change as we saw with Frozen or Big Hero 6, because those characters more so supplied full powerful teams instead of 3 powerful characters.
Good point. I agree with Sky 100% with the 3 characters that are decent, that look good right now compared to the Cogsworth, Lumiere, and Mrs. Potts. From what I've seen, at least on a PvP level, at the champion level, it's looking like Beast and Belle are always played together. They are very plug and play heavy. I haven't seen much Maurice at all at the high PvP ranks, but I've seen I've seen Belle and Beast with Elsa and Bubbles and that type of hybrid. I've seen Belle and Beast with Baymax, Hero, and then a heavy damage dealer like Stitch or Sheriff of Nottingham. So it looks like those two are going to be plug and play. I don't think you're going to use Beast by himself without Belle. But yeah, it's interesting. We were talking about this before on stream, how the meta can kind of slow down with these characters a little bit just because of Enchanted Rose and the ability of not being able to apply debuffs. So for instance, I went up against a gear, I think it was gear tier 7 or gear tier 8 beast, and I had a great opener. Like my hero went first, my Bubbles went set. Like I was able to upgrade Bubbles, put the ticket on Honey Lemon to get the 3 silence. I had a great opener that usually seals the deal right at the beginning of the match, but because the magic immunity and not being able to apply debuffs, Beast was able to make a solid comeback. And Beast is very, very strong. Aside from him just doing significant amount of damage, especially with tactics with his basic, he's very beefy, especially when you're getting taunt and defense up. So he's definitely a beast. No pun intended.
I haven't studied the team as much yet, because I mean I don't plan on getting this time around. I think you guys, I know Sky just unlocked a 5-star beast actually.
Just got him.
Nice.
But yeah, I mean I should pay attention to their kits more, but since I'm not getting them, right away, I've just been kind of waiting back on it until, obviously I get them. But I'm still farming for them, don't get me wrong. But I have seen I forgot who I was watching, but Maurice's special has a pretty cool mechanic. I mean, there's the whole animation for his special is pretty cool. But I think a lot of people were expecting more of drop characters with this batch, with Cogsworth, Lumiere, and Potts. And Maurice was kind of the wild card in there from what I've observed. Okay, Sky doesn't think so.
We Ben know that Maurice was coming. Maurice for life.
Sure.
Beast mode, no thanks. More like Maurice mode.
So Sky's favorite character is Maurice. So he was really pumped. Like we didn't know, because we were all thinking, it's gonna be Pot, there's gonna be Lumiere, Cogs, and Bell. That's it, and then Beast. And then they're like, no, we're gonna throw Maurice. Or we're thinking, but they already have Gaston, so maybe it's use Gaston. They're like, no, we're gonna use Maurice, and that's what I ended up doing. But
He's the man.
he is the man. But I've seen, obviously some gameplay of it, and they look like Joos is saying, more like just parts of the team are going to be effective. The rest you just kind of drop. And I mean, it's similar with like Big Hero 6. Most people only use Hero and Honey Lemon. Occasionally use Wasabi. Starting out Wasabi, Go-Go and or Fred, and then put it with another combo. So it's nothing unusual. But I am waiting for the day where we see a 5 legendary team. I think that'd be pretty sick to see, to be honest. But we'll have to wait probably until summer for that, if that ever comes around. But yeah, I think
if there's one thing to learn though, Dragon, we jumped the ship saying that Fred wasn't a great character, so we have to be a little bit more patient on this team. We never know, maybe Mrs. Potts or something will make a crazy opening or return that we haven't seen yet. But I guess we should be patient a little bit. But I guess for our first impressions of the team and what we've seen so far, it looks like the Beast and Bell combo, Maurice being on certain specific teams is pretty good. But don't count the other characters out just yet. But that's just kind of our first impressions.
I'm gonna count Mrs. Potts out. She's really bad. Mrs. Potts is terrible. Cogsworth and Lumiere, they could come around. I'd love to be surprised. There's no way Mrs. Potts is good. She's so bad.
What about her healing? What does her healing do?
It's like isn't it like a single target healing with no refresh, so she can do it every turn?
Really? Oh, okay.
It's something really bad or similar to that, if not exactly that.
Because I saw it, but I was like, could this potentially help with poison, or am I pushing my luck?
In raids, like if I want a raid healer though, there's plenty of ones better.
Ariel probably.
But it is crazy though, guys, to think about the difference between this Beauty and the Beast team compared to Big Hero 6. Like, look, Go-Go had some insane value when you were like running Zerg and one-shotting people. Like Wasabi had some decent damage at high tier level where he was doing a lot of damage to tanks. Honey Lemon's obviously insane. Baymax is really great. I think and then even Fred's making some high value is putting the dots on and having high speed. Like, it's crazy how good all those characters are. Not to say that Beauty and the Beast isn't, but like it's a pretty big difference.
With Beauty and the Beast, Fred might be better than Honey Lemon. I'm not sure yet, but that's a very, very strong possibility in my mind that moving forward, once people get their beasts properly runed up, that Fred is more used than Honey Lemon.
Our second topic is going to be how raids change club membership. Things like poaching and stuff like that, and just whole reshuffle. I mean, I'll when it's my turn, I'll talk about my club specifically. But what do you guys have noticed?
I feel like we have been in. I think I'm in a top 30 or top 40 club. We have had a couple of our members, poached, but I'm really not sour about it. I think it's a fair thing. If people are spending thousands of dollars on the game, they should be playing with people that also are, because they're just in club conquest and future game modes that they could add for clubs. I think you should be in people in a similar lane, so to speak, as you. So I think it's getting a bad rap, but I think it's not as bad as people are making it out to be, though there are a lot of toxic or negative things to it.
Yeah, I'm going to piggyback off Sky. I was mentioning before that we were a top 20 club that slowly dissipated and kind of imploded this past week, which is kind of unfortunate. But like I said, I was a member of Happily Ever After Royals, which name changed to Up. And for the past couple weeks, we slowly lost members to some higher end clubs, which I see there was desire to push for the heroic raid. You see a lot of people either from Frontierland or Disney Titans that are pushing that every day. They're completing in hours, and that puts pressure on the club to get that done as well. We were completing it on tier 5. We weren't able to complete it on heroic. So we lost a couple members due to a raid push. Club Conquest is obviously desirable. You want to win that every week or at least get second. We weren't quite performing quite well in Club Conquest. Just a lot of factors, but we are making some heavy changes in the club right now. I'm actually not in the club anymore, but we're looking to hopefully find some homes for those previous members. But I guess to get back on point, it makes sense. Sky makes a great point. If you're spending a lot of money in this game, you want to be with other people that are also spending a lot of money in this game, that are being successful in this game. And unless you are a high summoner score player that has a lot of teams and you feel like you want to take on a leadership role and maybe guide your club to progress, do it. But otherwise, some of those players just don't have the patience to progress. They want instant results, because when you spend money in this game, you get instant results. And if you don't get it right away, then you want to find ways to get it. So unfortunately happened to us, but you move on, you don't get salty about it, and on to the next.
So my collective story was pretty interesting on this. So my collective has like eight clubs. Now we're down to 7 because stuff that's happened last week due to the raids. So basically what my club did was we have 2 like highly competitive clubs. They're both like in the top 50 and higher. And basically some of the higher end summoner score people were getting messages basically to join the higher end clubs. And I guess like the leaders, they're very tight knit, and so they're like, no, we can't let people leave. Like let's accommodate these people. So what we did was we took the people who couldn't do heroics from one of the higher end clubs and transfer them over, and the people who could do the raids or the heroic raid to the other club. So we just kind of flip-flop like 15 people roughly, those who couldn't and those who could. And now actually I think it's better for the club overall, because we're gonna have one club that's significantly like ranked higher than the other one, because before we were like only like 10 or 15 ranks apart, so it wasn't like a big differential, but now there's going to be a significant difference in the club, I think. But I mean, overall, I think the leaders in my collective did a great job trying to not get people poached basically or leave, and became accommodating. And we're lucky that we do have 8 clubs. We were able to fix that issue, but because of that we had to switch some leaders and stuff like that, and that's why one club left, because they decided to go rogue and just take a whole group of people. They weren't like a big club. I think they just cracked the top 100, so they thought they made the big show already. But that's a story in itself. But it's okay. I mean, we're down from 8 to 7. I mean, it's not really a big deal. So whenever we see them Club Conquest, we're pretty excited to beat them. That's probably what's going to happen. So, but in terms of other clubs, I mean, you see, like you guys have said, like it's going to happen. If you're spending money in this game, you're going to want to get the rewards and stuff like that. So I don't blame people. I think it's great overall for those who are trying to get the heroic grades. That's all it is.
Yeah, and I think that's a great point you said there, Dragon, because that's another side effect, right? Like your clubs now are more evenly balanced, and people are probably going to have more fun in Conquest because they're not going to be punching up or punching down every attack and stuff. So I mean, that's probably, even though people got moved around, it's probably actually really a plus in your collective's case.
Yeah, because now like people aren't like there's not so much a big differential between the summoner scores. It's like a more even progression amongst summoner scores, which doesn't mean everything, but it's a good projection of where people are in the game, of course.
Philip?
Mm-hmm.
I guess the last point I'll make is like it's kind of a shame in some sense, because obviously Glue designed tier 5 and heroic grade to be difficult. Like it's not meant to be taken on right away. Like there needs to be some type of progression that takes place. Your club needs to build up their teams over time. And it just, it's unfortunate when there's streamers and there's content creators out there that are pumping out that content. I don't know if you feel pressured to get there quicker or whatnot, but honestly, if the clubs did what was originally designed by the game, I feel like less of this would happen if they actually took the time to grind out teams over a couple months to kind of see that progression, eventually clear heroic or clear tier 5 based on what you're working for. But there's a lot of other factors that can get in the way for sure.
I think like with the cooldowns, I think that was a way to try and prevent that. But I've seen a couple of people club hop and they're like, I have like 72 hours until my club refresh. I'm like, how many clubs have you been hopping to do these raids? But I think that's why I think your point is very valid. If everyone was like, very united and stuff like that, and clubs were super united and people weren't selfish, that would be definitely the case. But not everyone is, and so that's why we have this thing. for sure. I guess more raid talk is going to be raid nerfs and other characters to look out for. So what do you guys notice with the raid nerfs so far?
Yeah, I mean, the raid nerfs, it's a big step away from the turn meter control soloing we were starting to already see. And it's now just getting, turn meter control is still very important, but it's now much different. Like characters like Honey Lemon or Elsa that have small turn meter reductions, though they're both still very good at raids, are a little worse because they're gonna mess with future turn meter reductions. So you're seeing just kind of more damagey squads do well, and they kind of go and they, these really good squads, they're doing like a mill, and in like a phase 3 or 4, and it's probably really healthy for the game because it was way too early for people to be soloing this raid.
Yeah.
And I think, I think it's good. I think the raid feels a lot more healthy now, even if it is harder. So I know some people are annoyed that they're like, oh, my club can't beat T5 anymore, or whatever it is, because it can't, one person can't solo glut, but here we are. It's actually better for the game, and no one can really debate that.
So as far as the raid goes, like we saw that in the last podcast we talked about if they were going to nerf the raid, they were going to do it right away, and ended up not happening, but they ended up doing a little bit after, which was kind of surprising. But I do agree that with you can't have a single person soloing phases. I mean, that makes sense. You saw that as soon as people were posting videos, Glue probably saw them and said, okay, we need to fix this. But I guess aside from copying all of Sky's points, I was going to mention that it is very cool to see how in-depth and detailed these phases are now. Like people are doing write-ups on these. So for instance, like Dash is really good for phase 2 against Flotsam and Jetsam. And it's, people are writing like certain like lineups and like strategies for each phase now. So it's like if this happens, you should probably forfeit. Like you need to get these certain underlying factors to line up in your favor to hopefully have a good fight where you are pumping out a lot of damage. It is easier to forfeit on heroic rather than on 5 and 4 and whatnot, because you lose those attempts. But it's a little bit more specific now. You have some better guys out there, and it does help out a lot. But the nerfs are unfortunate, but it makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, the nerfs were necessary. I mean, let's be honest. But we do see some new characters being useful. I know, like, Crixus was showing videos for us about the whole Mulan possibility of being a turn meter reducer, which is a cool thing to see. That there's still, if we just dig through the characters, we're going to find someone hopefully to fix the void of that. But we don't know how specific that's going to be for raids, but it is a viable option. It looks to be as well. I could be completely wrong on that, of course, but we will have to see about that. But it is good because before, like, my club thought we could, okay, as long as like these three guys do their thing, everyone just focus on phase 2. Now we can't do that. I mean, it's
which is honestly a genius strategy. It's great
because at the time we had like these 3 big whales, or not really whales, but they were the whales of the club, and there was another guy who wasn't really a whale, but he just had the right team. So there's like 4 of them. Like, okay, if I mess up, you're gonna take care of this phase, and then like, okay, all 46 other people in the club, just guys have to focus on phase 2 and do it as fast as you can, so you can get this done as fast as possible. But honestly, I kind of miss it because it would have made the gear grind a lot easier for people, but of course it was a necessary fix they had to do. But I'm glad now because, well, I mean, you heard in the last segment, my club's a lot stronger now, so I don't have to worry about that anymore. But looking to the future, we'll see what they do. And see, I just want to see what other adjustments they could possibly do to raids. They could make it even harder. You never know. But I guess like this is gonna be a smaller topic, but also a cool topic about the whole passive adjustment they did. So passive adjustments in terms of being silenced are no longer going to be affected anymore. So this benefits some characters. So Sky, you want to start off with this one?
Yeah, I think the passive adjustment is great because I think it's it creates more agency to play the game, right? Negative status effects overall take away player agency, of the person that they're applied on, and it creates Field's bad mechanics. So the passives being able to be active while silenced, though stun and sleep, and I forget if there's anything else that still makes passives inactive, is still a thing. Just being able to do what your team wants to do more just makes the game more fun. So I think it's a great change.
So I didn't do my homework. I didn't know this was didn't know this was even a thing. This is for every mode? Is this for not just the raid?
So
yeah, every mode.
Because the reason why I say that is because like my Elsa was silenced at 4 spirits, and then she became empowered after that. I was like, wait a second, she's not supposed to become empowered. Something was odd there. So I guess what I thought was a bug or something was new was actually a change that I didn't even notice. But yeah, you know, Sky makes a great point. So like I said, I was probably shouldn't have won that fight because Elsa wouldn't become empowered, and I wasn't able to do what I needed to do there. So makes me want to go back and look at all the passives now and realize actually there's a lot of factors that can actually happen if even if my characters get silenced now. It's pretty cool. Thanks for the new info.
As a prominent Elsa user, I am beyond thrilled by this adjustment. The amount of super silence teams that try to slow me down can no longer silence me to death. They will suffer the pain of Elsa every single time now. Especially now that I have a tier. Oh, I have I think the single-handedly most important tier 8 piece on Elsa, which is going to be the tenacity and evasion piece. I am unstoppable against these people. I'm just kidding. No, it's a lot easier, and with the passives working the way they are now, you can't evade those spirits. So I'm all for it. Yeah, maybe it makes the game a little more broken, but I'm all for it. I think it's a good change.
Wait, so quick question. That means if you know, Baymax gets the auto taunt when another Big Hero 6 character hits 50%. So he'll do that automatically now when silenced, right?
He's technically already supposed to do it because his passive has a stipulation that goes around sleep, silence, and stun, but it often doesn't work.
Okay.
But yes, but it was supposed to always be happening. It just is bugged because everything is bugged.
Got it.
Well, I think this is probably going to be Joos's favorite topic here. Gear 8. And its apparent destruction for non-pay-to-win players.
All right, I'll start. Gear 8 is a disgusting grind that if you aren't doing efficiently, is going to take you like up to 3 times as long. How, like, between the drop rates and the high energy cost on the nodes for Gear 7 pieces, which get you to Gear 8, right? It's literally more efficient to spend gems on the premium exchange than to buy refreshes to farm gear most of the time, which is I touched on earlier, which is just absurd. So what you have to do is you have to look at your roster, and you have to say who really is going to T8. Similar to how taking a character to T7 was before they made gear easier to farm. What was that, 4 or so months ago? So you really have to commit a lot. I myself have one Gear 8 character. I got Hero up, but I prepared to get Hero up for over a month before Gear 8 was active because his lead going up in speed is just ridiculous. And I started doing math and realized just how hard it is to get any character to Gear 8, and realized if I didn't start then, it was going to take me a month once it was out, and I was going to be a month behind everyone else. So luckily I had the foresight to do that, but I'm looking at trying to get another character to Gear 8, and again, it's going to be a month.
Okay, so when Big Hero 6 first came out, I told my community that because I wasn't going to pay for the team, I wasn't going to pay for a 7-star Baymax, that I was prepared to fall off as far as Sorcerer Tournament goes and PvP goes, because I didn't think I was going to be able to keep up with the meta. But sure enough, actually, I was able to kind of hold on there. I was still able to hit Grand Champion, surprisingly. I was able to hit Rank 1 every day in Sorcerer's Tournament, despite not having Baymax and playing strategically. With this new update with Gear Tier 8, I have fallen off drastically. It is very, very, the game has changed very, very, very much for me. I'm at the point now where I should tank my rating in PvP to even compete now. When I hit battle in PvP, if I see a gear tier 8 hero, it's usually instant auto, instant forfeit. The fight just snowballs. I have no chance. I am working for the grind right now, but like I said before, the grinding for gear is enormously bad. The drop rates feel like 25 to 30% on pieces. It could be lower than that. I'm not sure. And it's taking multiple weeks just to get one piece towards gear tier 8. Basically said before, being forced to have to buy those gear bundles. And it's unfortunate. It's very unfortunate. I'm going to be falling back on the progression hardcore, and Sky made the great decision to get his hero to gear tier 8. I wish I would have before, but I focused on Fred. I got my Gizmo Duck geared up, and I should have done so sooner, because right now I have a lot of work to do, and I can't get it done in a short amount of time. So this feels like a low point of the game for me, especially as someone who's stopped spending hardly any money in this game. And it's good seeing some of those high-end PvP matches, like content-wise, where you're seeing players with full Gear 8 teams PvPing. It's cool to see that, but it's like when you're on the receiving end, it's like it just feels like the game has gotten very pay-to-win recently, whether it's 7-star Beast or Gear Tier 7 Beast or just full Gear Tier 8. It sucks. I'll be honest with you, it sucks.
Now, so I haven't had the pleasure, besides fighting certain people like on my friends list, to practice on tier 8 people. I haven't had the pleasure to fight them in PvP and stuff, and they haven't hit my Sorcerer's Tournament yet that I know of. But that's also because I absolutely hate PvP. So I don't really, I stay in like Platinum 1 or something like that, like 3,000 or something like that. I don't go any higher than like maybe 3,200, 3,300 in a season, just because I don't have the drive to go to the next tier, just because I just despise PvP. But with that said, like, I'm grateful for raids, because they're really going to be the buffer for this gear grind, to be honest. And that's why I'm kind of wondering, like, is it better to do heroics, or is it better to do tier 4 almost every single day? Like, if your club can do it like in an hour or two, like, or 3 hours a tier 4 raid, and just keep on pumping out that almost every day, that's gonna really help with your gear 8 stuff. But of course with heroics you get a lot more overall. But I will say, once I did get that Elsa gear 8, it was very rewarding, for instance. But looking at it, like, okay, once I do 1 or 2 more, like that initial horde that you had is gone. I mean, and it's going to take a long time to horde. So I think the fix to this is either glue reduces the amount. I think like a lot of them requires like 35, bring it down to 30, or like 27, 28, something like that. Bring it down by 25%, or increase the RNG chances and bring it down from 16 to maybe 14 or even 12 to do the attempts. Because I think 16 energy per attempt, I mean, there should be
more expensive than some hard nodes.
Yeah, it's like, no, it doesn't make much sense to me. So I think, I mean, if for instance, if it was like Swaga and the gear was part of the hard node, different story. But that's not the case, you know? So I think that's the only way they're going to be able to fix it. Either lower down the requirements, and I think even for like Gear 6 and Gear 7, they should lower it down, especially, for instance, I mean, we're thinking about in the future, we're thinking about next year. I'm not surprised if they bring Gear 9 next year, sometime in the spring or even summer. So they're going to have to do something about Gear 6, 7, and 8. They're going to have to lower that crap now, or it's going to be bad. That's all I'm going to say. But, because, I mean, if Gear 8's where it's at right now, can you imagine Gear 9? I mean,
yeah. Something I want to loop back on a little bit is if you look at all the gear and you look at all the colors that the characters' portraits gain with the gear, every time the color does not change between gear, the past tier is required for the new tier's gear. If you look at 2 to 3, tier 2 gear is required at 3, but then 3 to 4, it is now all new gear. And then 4 to 5 is the same and more. 5 to 6 is the same and more. And then 7 is all new. So using that logic, 8's gonna getting to Gear 9 is gonna require Gear 8.
Yeah, I want to make
Like
a
that's the
point too
pattern
as
they've
well.
set
Like,
up.
another issue I've had with this past week. I mean, yeah, even with this week, I know Beauty and the Beast came out last week. Like, I felt that I was put in like a crossroads where like this brand new event came out, and it's like, where do I go? Do I start spending energy on these new characters, or do like I keep spending energy on heroes? So like, it was kind of a tough decision to make, because as much as I wanted to start farming for these new characters, it's like I can't, because I need to get my hero at gear tier 8. So then you have to go back what you're originally farming for. So it was kind of a tough decision to make, but then it just comes back around of like, you got to make sure you know what you're farming for too. And hopefully the next pass I'll be able to maybe spend some more energy on some of those new characters.
We have seen like old events like the Incredibles become completely farmable. So like, when will we see characters in these events similar to this be completely farmable? And maybe do you think we're gonna get a chance to get some like Dad Pants and Wild Imagination, those type of spells that are usually behind a paywall?
Yeah. So how I imagine Glue does it, again, I have no insider info, is they make characters farmable when people stop spending on them. That's probably the metric they use. They probably look at how many people are buying Violet packs, how many people are buying Mr. Incredible pack, and they see what those numbers are, and they see how much money they're losing by making them farmable. This is just my stipulation or speculation on what they do. So I mean, ultimately, it's when a character's bad, they're gonna make them farmable. So that's my answer. I think as soon as they're not making money off a character, they'll make it farmable, and they won't do it before then.
It's interesting you say that, because I'm kind of with you, but we've seen like, because wait, Jack is farmable in campaign, right? Is he in any campaign?
He's a campaign node for
Grand campaign.
It's interesting because we see Jack and he got brought to PvP at one point, but we don't see Scar in a farmable node. We don't see Javar and things like that. So like, it may back up Sky's theory, where if people are still buying Javar packs, or they're still buying Scar packs, or I'm trying to think of some of the other events, like, yeah, it could be a thing. But I mean, hey, it's good to see him finally in the notes. Like, I was just able to unlock Jack recently. I was just able to unlock Dash. I didn't spend a dime on any of the Incredibles. So, it's cool to finally get him in your collection.
I think like once we get to the point like in Swaga where there's like the guy that shows you all the legendary characters in there, these guys are going to be completely farmable in the events, because unless they magically make Jafar like a rework and make him legendary character, or they do like a magic rework on Scar and make him legendary character, then I don't see them not going to the farm eventually. Like why? Because I mean, we didn't think Dash was going to, or Jack for a long time, and lo and behold, here they are.
Dash was the huge surprise for sure.
Yeah, so I wouldn't be surprised for a Jafar or Scar coming into there. And now like it makes me think like, damn, because I remember like I wanted to complete like my Aladdin team. This was like months ago. And I was like, I'm going to buy this 800 pack so I can get Jafar to 6 stars, because I couldn't unlock him then. Poor decision looking back now. But it looks like that's probably going to be the trend, maybe like in a year or something, or even sooner than that, because Incredibles weren't even out technically for a year. The game's not even a year old yet completely since launch. So you never know, you could see surprise like in January or February. Oh, Scar is apparently farmable now, and so is what's his name, Jafar. So those are the ones I can pick up right now. Lotso could be another one too, you never know.
Manticore,
for sure. I would love to get my hands on a free, not free, but obviously grinded out Wild Imagination from Spell Pack, something like that. That'd be pretty cool, helpful in raids and whatnot. The Summoner's Council, and how it could possibly lead to a mass exodus from the game, and potential people just being pissed off in general, and how could they possibly fix it?
Yeah, and so I kind of have a bit of both perspectives, because I was one of the very last people that they gave Summoner's Council to. So initially I had I didn't get this that other people did, even though I play in the game and spend a okay amount. And then I was given it, and then I was hence given the rewards they gave out recently. And I don't think they really should give out rewards to certain people with no criteria. I think that's kind of just toxic and feels bad. But in the end, it's such a small amount of resources that they gave out. If that's monthly, like if you look at how many resources you're getting per day, it's like five of each energy and like one of each gear piece max. I can't remember exactly what they had, but like it is a nice boost. But I don't imagine anyone's going to be boycotting or exiting the game based on it, just because even though it's kind of messed up, it's a small mess up, so to speak. That's kind of my take on it.
Yeah, I mean, I have two angles of it. Like, obviously, I'm part of the Summoners Council. I've gotten the rewards and whatever. Like, I don't know how I qualified for it. Like, I'd be happy as long as Glue came out and said how you qualify for it. The reason why I feel bad, and I agree with Sky on a lot of those points, is because like I have viewers that come into my stream that don't have it, and it's like I feel for my community. I feel for my viewers that come in, and it's like, why do I get it when you don't? At least state why I was able to achieve it, even if it's a hard truth of saying, hey, if you spent this money in the game or you put this much hours in the game or something, like even if it's going to put a bad taste in my mouth, I still want to know how to get it. I want to know that a lot, but the rewards are once a month, so it's not like you're getting stuff every day. You're not getting stuff every week. So, I'm sure we'll get over it by next month, but there should be no reason why they can't explain this whole thing. It totally came out of the blue. I'm sure if you just clarify more information about it and how to get it, I'm sure people will be over it within a day. But we'll have to see. But like I said, it's only once a month. I'm sure we won't be talking about it next time.
One thing I really want to add real quick to that is on the email they sent to people in the Summoner Council, I believe it said you were hand selected. So they're trying to lean into not having a strict criteria, which is dumb.
Well, for me, I didn't know that part, that it was like it was hand selected. So that's a good insight to it too. But I'm glad I did not make a video right away when they released the rewards, because I wasn't thinking rationally. I mean, it's the first thing. I was, whenever something bad happens, obviously it's always good to wait. Because I did the calculations like Sky did, and I was like, okay, look, in a year they're gonna get maybe one character to have completed all the health cloths, and maybe do a couple of the stuff for the droplets for tier 6, stuff like that. So I was like, okay, it's not really that big of a deal. And it's like, hey, you guys fill out some surveys here and there time to time. Okay, not really a big of a deal. So in the end, like, when I wrote it down, I was angry. That's why, like, the whole, like, the title for it was, like, really bad. But in the end, like, rationalizing it and like thinking clearly without being angry, for instance, that I think that really saved my butt in terms of really thinking of how really unimportant this is. But there is one worry I do have, and it's, what if Glue changes this and it becomes weekly, for instance, or they start giving full gear pieces, like full gear 7 piece or full gear 6 pieces, possibly even a gear 8 piece, then there's a concern. There's always a stipulation, like Joos said, we're probably not going to talk about this for a long time, but if Glue were to go that route, then there's a problem. But now, now that I've rationalized it out and thought about it, there's not much to it, to be honest.
Yeah, it's definitely a slippery slope. That's a good point. That right now it's not really a problem, but if depending on what they do moving forward, it could turn into one.
So we're going to more happy time ideas. So more creative on the creative side. Now, what other game modes do you think they could make besides raids? Like, I don't want to see them copying like Territory War or something like that from Swaga or any other MSF. I want them to make a new game mode. Like, I don't know, what type of ideas do you guys have? If you have any ideas, or what, I don't know, just talk.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. The only thought I've gave towards this is giving thought towards game modes already available in other similar games like MSF, like I know fans of Marvel Strike Force have a game mode, and I'm probably going to butcher this a little bit, but I'm going to say it to my best knowledge, called Blitz, where there's you're drafting characters against another player from your own roster, but then there's like ban phases, and then you have to use like your secondary and tertiary teams. And I know that Blitz is what a lot of people is one of their favorite parts of that game. People that like PvP at least. So even though it doesn't quite fit your question, I kind of don't have the answer you're looking for, but like a Blitz one-on-one conquest type of thing, that could be cool.
I'll give you a couple, and I'll ultimately talk about the one that I put, because this was actually another question on the survey that I was talking about before at the very beginning of the podcast here, suggestions, but they also had another question: what game mode would you like to implement? So we talked about this on stream, because I did it on stream, so shout out to a lot of my viewers that helped come up with some of these ideas. Someone suggested dueling with friends. So, you add friends to your friend list, you can duel them too. That's kind of cool. Someone mentioned, and you guys may have to correct me because I'm not a Galaxy of Hero player. What is it? Not Galactic Champion, but what's the mode where you fight a whole roster of another person? What is that called?
Is it? It might be Territory War, not Galactic War.
I know what you're talking about, but
yeah, I haven't unlocked it. In fairness, I have not unlocked in Swaga yet, so that is my defense. I have not unlocked in Swaga.
Came out after I quit 4 years ago. So.
There's his alibi. I have my alibi. His alibi.
So we talked about some of these modes, but
Grand
this
Arena.
is the mode I ultimately came up.
Grand
with.
Arena.
You got it?
That's the name of it.
Grand Arena.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you don't know what Grand Arena is, I believe it's basically you take your whole roster and go up against another person's roster as well, based on what current level, star levels, mods, and stuff are. But the thing I actually ended up putting on the survey was something that I've always wanted in this game. I don't think it's ever going to happen, but I'm basically going to call it kind of a neutral field mode. Basically, whether it's a PvP style or if it's you're going up against AI, I wish you could pick a team where 5 characters, you get put on a neutral field, meaning level doesn't matter, star level doesn't matter, gear doesn't matter, gems doesn't matter, and then it's all based on skill and strategy. You could theory craft with different teams, not having to worry about get them geared up and get them maxed out. That's something I always wish they could put in this game. It'd be kind of like you had a test account almost, where you had all the characters fully maxed out, where you can play around with them. But for this way, basically, you're stripped from all stats, but it's more based on abilities and functionality compared to like what's currently in the game. So it's like a neutral field / sandbox mode where you can go up against other teams, but you don't have to worry about getting outsped by other characters based on if they have a level 3 speed gem or something like that. So I don't know what the mode would be called, but something similar to that.
So I like those ideas, for one. I had another idea where, okay, it kind of goes back to raids, but it's like, I know the topic's not supposed to be about raids, but just think about it, like you went through like Forbidden Depths, right? But it's like you can use your entire roster, and it's like Pokemon. Like you have 5 characters on the floor on the field, right? But let's say you have your Frozen team out, and let's say Sven dies. Okay, I'm gonna put in Aladdin. Okay, Aladdin dies. I'm gonna put in Genie or something like that. And then like you can rotate your spells. Like you can use your spells, let's say like 5 times max each spell, and like you get to certain points based off your power level. Like in club power, it's based off your power level. Like you at certain level you get to go to this tier, etc. like that. And the goal is obviously not to actually finish the raid itself. It's like, okay, you finished 50% of the raid, here's what 50%, at 50% completion, here's your rewards. Or if you get to 75%, here's your rewards. And if the rare chance or you do it well and the strategies well, and you're able to complete the entire raid at 100%, then you get these stuff, like this rewards here.
So it's like a solo raid with your entire collection?
Yes.
That's cool. I like that.
Or I even had another one. It's like your entire roster on the field, but it's like one massive battle, and you go against the raid. You go against all 5 raid bosses. Basically, like, okay, everyone use your basic, everyone use your special, something like that. Healers attack now, or something like that. That type of thing.
You wouldn't be able to see any of the characters. The big baby's taking up the whole screen.
That's
Hero puts a bait up for every single character.
Exactly, and like your point of view is like almost like a sandbox, like up there, like way up in the sky, bird's eye view type of thing. And then you can like do cinematic mode and stuff like that, go around, and I don't know, just some crazy idea, because I think it'd be really entertaining to see. That's what I was thinking.
Let me give one shout out really quick. I saw this in Twitch chat. I think it's a good response. An endless tower mode where you can swap out characters every 5 or 10 floors progressively gets harder.
Rad.
Yeah. They well, it's like they have that in Swaga. I see Dan said that, but they kind of have that in Swaga, but there's a cap to it. But it'd be kind of cool to have that where it goes almost like literally infinite, pretty much. And once you get to a certain level, you get rewards, stuff like that.
Yeah, I think Tower is just overall an untapped mode as far as potential.
I think they've kind of neglected Tower for sure, and
no doubt.
Now with like, I would say just like a tech team tower would be kind of cool. For instance, you need tech characters or ducks. Duck tower, yes. I want to see a duck tower.
Well, like, assuming they eventually release another tower, that means they also release new spells. Normally, it's 2 new spells a tower, so maybe that's a way they add event spells.
There you go.
Into the game.
That works. I like that.
Dig it.
I'm down for that. So, we're talking about more new stuff, and Dan, here's more happy news, Dan. So Miguel has finally made it into the game, and he's what? Our 100th character. So he hit a milestone in this game. Think about it, guys. This game released with 66 characters, and we're already on our 100th character in less than a year, which is freaking pretty insane.
Actually, it's only the 98th playable character.
Roster-wise,
and
it's
Maleficent
100.
aren't playable.
It's 100 roster-wise, okay? It's just
Wait,
like
is
inflating
this normal
numbers
for a mobile game? Is this average? Or are we ahead? Is DSA far ahead of other games? Do you know?
I have no clue. It just sounds cool.
No idea.
Do you know, Dragon?
It just sounds cool, so that's why I'm like 100th character in less than a year. Pretty freaking awesome.
Yeah, I mean, Miguel's cool. He looks really good in like raids. I don't think he's strong enough to make it into most PvP squads, but I could be wrong. I hope I'm wrong, because his kit is so cool. The whole thing with the Encore, they're just called Encores, or maybe they're called Encore Notes. But it's a really cool mechanic, a really unique kit. I hope he makes some of these mythical characters that don't see too much play a little better. But I imagine he'll be mostly a raid character because of his cleanse.
Yeah, I was gonna say he's almost like, you can almost see like Glue starting to try to power creep again a little bit. You know, another leadership that gives speed, the Encore which can res teammates. Man, it's unbelievable. I mean, I looked at the kit a little bit, but we'll have to see. It looks really, really good on paper. Looks really good. His kit looks pretty phenomenal. We'll kind of see after actually how it plays out. What it feels like to me, it feels like Hero when he first came out. He was a standalone character. He became extremely plug and play. His kit looked really good, ended up turning out to be really good with micro barrier and upgrade. And I wouldn't be surprised one bit if Miguel becomes playable in multiple modes. I know Dragon said may not, or Sky said maybe not PvP. I probably would expect to see him in PvP at some point.
Okay. I know chat's gonna love this, but I'm already like thinking how to break this character. Just imagine a fleet of Miguel's on the field, and you have like 25 Encores. No one will die. Raids will be broken again.
We don't know if his passive works with shadows, since some do and some don't.
Okay, well, we're thinking of the impossible to be possible. That's what we're thinking for. We're hoping he's broken day 1 so they don't fix it for 5 months, okay? That's what
Also,
we're
you
hoping.
can't revive characters that are insta-killed.
Oh, really? Maybe there'll be a bug again, okay? You never know.
Or wait, I guess that's a stipulation on Hammer, isn't it? So maybe you can, but I think you can't.
You never know. There could be a bug and no one finds out until later, so... But in reality, his kit's pretty good. I mean, it looks pretty nice. I would love to see him with Olaf. They were reviving buddies forever, and with Elsa, that no one's gonna die. So that's my thoughts on it. His kit definitely awesome, and Mythicals definitely need a speed boost. So there's gonna be a good little speed boost.
Hades
Merlin
get a buff from him.
Mhm.
Yeah, let me say this. Is this a potential foreshadowing of a potential Hercules mythical meta in the future? Anybody?
Let's see. Beast came out in November, so looking at February, possibly.
Yeah, because I don't think there's
Mhm.
going to be other Coco characters because there's no mention of Coco's synergy in his kit.
I'd love to see Dante, the dog, and like
Dante,
the
Pepita.
is that's the big like Griffith type of colorful
Yeah,
one.
that's
Yeah.
Pepita. You know, I know all the obscure names.
Well, Pluto should know all the characters and Spider-Man. But yeah, definitely. I definitely want to see how it's going to really shake up that Mythicals faction. And plus, once you get Hercules and Zeus in there, and Phil and Meg and stuff like that, it's gonna be a cool.
I love Phil.
I know I love Phil too.
Phil.
And I want Phil in the game to have like some one-liners when he
That'd
attacks.
be good. Like Baymax.
That'd be pretty sick to do too. But yeah.
You know what? Even if Miguel somehow becomes broken, that's fine. But if he's able to bring characters like Queen of Hearts or Sally, any of the Nightmare Before Christmas crew, I don't know, maybe Madam Mim, things like that. Like that will make me happy. Like just to see more diversity in the meta, seeing different teams come out. I'm happy with that. Even if everyone eventually starts playing the same team, that's fine. Like I'm tired of losing to Baymax. I'm tired of losing to Bubbles, Honey Lemon. Like if I start losing to Queen of Hearts and Sally, that's fine. Let's switch it up a little bit.
You could definitely add, and you'll still lose to Baymax and Honey Lemon and Hero, but you'll lose to more variety of characters.
Yeah.
All right. 2 weeks from now, next podcast, we see people testing maxed out Miguel. We see how good he is.
Okay, that's fair.
There you go. Because right now we don't know. None of us know. I don't know. You don't know. No one knows.
And that's a great transition because you know why? In 2 weeks we're gonna find out what's gonna be inside Mistletokens chests. So, I don't know. I don't think it's gonna be another spooky gate because I think they've kind of learned their lesson. Well, it's glue, so you never know. But I don't know if I'm gonna be tempted to buy the talismans and stuff like that. I don't know yet. In the emotes, what's Twitch chat saying? But yeah, I don't know what's gonna be in there, but I'm pretty excited for it.
I have some ideas. The Santa Jack costume. I think there's a good chance that those tokens are in this Mistletokens chests because it just seems like it fits the theme really well. I can't remember if Santa Jack has been available for purchase in the game or not. I think it hasn't, but I'm not 100% sure because I've never unlocked Jack. But yeah, I think we'll see the value for the energy be a good amount lower because I think Glue, for some reason, didn't do the math on their own chests before to realize how good the deal was. And I think they won't make the same mistake twice because they've already made it. And I think the value is going to be pretty bad. But I'm hoping it's good because Spooky coins were awesome, dude. The value was nuts. But I don't imagine they'll make the same mistake twice. I think it's gonna be pretty bad.
Yeah, like obviously if it's heavy, I mean, obviously if the value stays the same and you're getting good stuff from the chest, that's awesome. I personally didn't care too much about the spooky chest. Like I ended up getting a couple. I got some insane RNG when it came to like getting the Oogie Boogie, the translucent or the fluorescent emote. I got a lot of the talismans. I got some super crazy pulls, which was crazy. I don't know if it was just luck on my side there. It kind of got me excited about it, but you know, if they do keep it holiday themed and stuff like that, they may release one or two emotes or talismans that kind of make you want to get them. And just imagine, I'm not saying they're going to do this, but just imagine like a summoner's council portrait that has like glowing Christmas lights around your talisman. That could, I don't know if they would do that, but God, who knows if they would do something like that. But
that's a really
a lot of people like the new costumes and the cosmetic stuff. So you know, new is always cool, and let's keep it coming.
I would love to see Jack for sure. a Belle Christmas costume, the Beast Christmas costume, basically any movie from Disney that had a Christmas costume that's in the game already, any character should have a Christmas costume. And because then think about it, it's like, okay, I'm gonna get, like, this is actually a marketing campaign and moneymaker campaign for Glue. It's like, I'm only gonna buy, like, until I get Oogie Boogie's fluorescent costume. But then it's like, but then for the Christmas ones, like, we have Jack, we have Belle, we have Beast, we have all these characters. Spend more! That's what I'm thinking. So, that's what I'll love to see in these spooky chests. But the big pull for a lot of people, though, is going to be the energy. That's the biggest thing. If they don't put energy in these things, it's kind of screwed over that way. And the gold. The talismans, I mean, yeah, I'm not going to lie. The talismans were a definite pull for me. I spent a lot of gems on that stuff. So, little disappointed about that personally, but it was a pull for me. So, I know I wasn't the only one. So, yeah, let's just say I am keeping calm for this Christmas chest because Tapjoy needs to come around again for me to be able to do that effectively. Now, I'm so for these things if they're good that I will not only buy them with gems, I will buy them with actual physical money. So that's all I'm saying, because if the value's there, the talismans and the dresses and stuff like that, I don't know, it's really funny because like, I'm so stupid because like, okay, here's like the dress like for Belle, right? Oh, it's like $50 or whatever the case may be. Oh, that's way too expensive. But you can buy it at the chest and you don't know the exact amount you're gonna get, and you don't know if you're even gonna get it. Might as well do that. So that's just how my brain works that way. But yeah.
Also, if you're watching this on YouTube right now, if you look in the description below, Dragon has the phone number for gambling help hotline. So he obviously had to make a couple phone calls during the spooky chest stuff. So definitely call the number in the description below. That'll help you out.
Yes.
It's a great bit, Joos.
Funny enough, I'm pretty. Before the pandemic, I'm a pretty avid poker player, so I've had my fair share of gambling.
No one's shocked.
Yes. Yeah, that's kind of where my guessing game comes from, because I just like rationalize. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna get it eventually, so it's gonna happen. But if it's a fixed way, I'm like, oh no, $30. No. I'd rather spend $100 and make it a guess. That's fine. I'm good at that.
It's just crazy because I was the opposite. Like I didn't feel the slightest bit of that during spooky coins in those chests. I'm being honest. Yeah. Like I didn't feel the slightest. Like you're the same way, Sky.
Yeah. Well, I'm an efficiency fiend. Like that's all I care about. So I look at it like I don't get energy. I don't want it.
Yeah. It's just funny to hear from you, Dragon, because it's like I just felt the exact. Like I didn't have any like urge or desire to even like farm any of that stuff. It's just funny to hear it.
I got all the talisman naturally, actually, just with the free coins you got. Like, I got really lucky, and I got every single talisman without even trying at all.
Oh, I did too. I got every single talisman too.
Yeah,
and I spent Tapjoy gems. There's a difference, and that was before Olay offers, so it was purely free. So hard work pays off. But is there any other topics we are missing today? No.
I think we covered it.
We covered it? Okay. Well, guys.
I'm just excited this podcast ended at exactly 45 minutes like we said we would. Look, I will say this, like it is kind of cool. Like just like I went back and listened to the first podcast and I told you guys on Discord, like so much has changed in such a short amount of time.
Oh yeah.
So it's crazy.
Like, I think kind of the current schedule we got set up is good. So obviously, like I'm talking to Twitch chat, I'm talking to YouTube right now. If you guys like this content, definitely let us know if there's suggestions that you have and want us to improve. That's cool. But it's very cool when we can meet every 2 weeks and keep talking about new stuff because it's just changing so quickly. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, because before, I mean, we were planning on doing this like once a month, and then we realized. I mean, think about if we waited a month, where the hell would the game be in a month? I mean, it just wouldn't make sense. Totally. So it's a good decision, I think. Every 2 weeks is good. Is good for sure.
Yeah, it's a very good point where the things that we haven't heard about since our last podcast aren't irrelevant yet.
Yeah.
But it's not too frequent that it's oversaturation.
Exactly. So that's gonna pretty much wrap it up. So for the Twitch stream out there, thank you guys for watching it live, and for our YouTube viewers, thank you so much for watching. Be sure to check out Joos on Twitch and Sky on Twitch, and we will see you guys in episode 3. We'll be recording it live on December 17th, so if you want to watch it on Joos' stream, December 17th, 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern. That's when you guys are going to see us next time. Anyways, guys, thank you so much, and we'll see you guys next time. Have a good one.
Thank you,
Later.
everybody. See you guys.